everyone, how are you doing? I hope you're having a good evening. It is Thursday. It is the day after Christmas. Merry Christmas to all and happy holidays. I hope you had fun with your families, beautiful gifts, good food, laughs, and giggles. But I wanted to come in with you today because I had some time off and I wanted to review a couple of videos that I saw having to do with somewhat with crime, and one of them stuck out for me. Oh, it's okay. Don't worry about it. Hi, how are you? It's nice to meet you. Hi, and thank you so much for the compliment. I appreciate you. Thank you. Yeah, so I want to just review some crime videos with you guys, right? Because sometimes when we look at a situation, we don't really necessarily think about the psychology behind it, especially when it's like intentional, right? We know that people do dumb stuff every day, right? And a fit of rage, anger, not controlling their emotions can get them in very bad situations. But there are crimes that are actually premeditated and intentional. And I wanted to review one particular story that was kind of dear to me. And I'm going to show it to you and we're going to review it together. And let's just take it from there, okay? So let me go ahead. Hello, Ben. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. Good to see you. Thank you for stopping by. All right. So let me share my screen. I hope you guys can see it. I hope you can see it. I think I have a better view for you guys. Okay, here we go. All right, so this is a case about a dad realizing who brutally murdered his son, okay? His son, and I never heard of this case, but his son was a veteran. He was in the Army. He was married. And the way how he lost his life, I think it was in 2019 on December 31st, was very gruesome. And then all the later details, which we're going to review, that happened and why the son lost his life, is going to be very shocking. So let's just get on into it, okay?
On New Year's Eve 2018, just after 11 p.m., a terrifying 911 call was received by the St. Joseph Police Department.
911, what's the address of the emergency?
I need help. I need help. My husband was shot. I need help.
Okay, stay on the line with me. Ma'am, take a deep breath. Take a deep breath from me, okay? How many shots did you hear, ma'am? Ma'am? Hello?
I don't know. I just want to lie.
Okay.
Following this call, first responders were dispatched to 2086 Colfax Avenue. When Officer Jay Peppers arrived on the scene, the paramedics were already tending to the victim, 23-year-old Tyrone Hassel III. His wife, Kamaya Hassel, was clearly distraught. Tyrone was still breathing, but his condition was critical. His body was covered in blood due to 2 gunshot wounds to the head, one in his neck and one in his shoulder. Kamaya was crying hysterically as she attempted to get into the ambulance with Tyrone.
Hey, back up! Whoa. No. Do you have any idea what? Come on. Yep, I know.
As paramedics worked quickly to save Tyrone, Kamaya called his father and informed him of what had happened. Within minutes, his father and grandmother arrived on the scene.
How the hell he get shot? You know who he is?
My son. It's Tyrone Hassel III.
Hey, bud, I know this is messed up. We got to get you guys out of here so we can secure this scene, okay? We got to collect some evidence and find out what the hell's going on here, okay? But we got to get you out here a second, okay? We'll talk to you in a minute. Do you live here, bud?
I live here.
Okay, what's your name?
My grandson is probably not by himself.
Okay, I'll go take care of that for you if he is.
He's
we'll get
one.
You in. Okay, we'll get you in there, okay?
Okay.
All right.
Now with the family nearby, officers spoke with them to better assess the situation.
Do you have any idea what happened here?
No, he just brought us something to eat.
Okay.
We were sitting on the couch eating, and then I just heard gunshots.
Okay.
And I ran to put my son in the room, and I came outside, and he was laying on the cart.
Okay, how many gunshots did you hear?
I don't know. I just heard a lot.
Do you have any idea how this happened?
I'm not sure.
I mean, this is serious, okay? I don't know what his condition is, but it does not look good, okay? So, if you know something,
I don't think he was beefing with anybody.
now's the time.
According to Kamaya, Tyrone and his family were at a friend's house about 2 miles away to celebrate the new year. She stayed home to look after their 1-year-old son, who they nicknamed Chunk. Just before 11 p.m., Tyrone momentarily left the party. He drove home in his black Dodge pickup truck to drop off some food for Kamaya and Chunk. He only stayed for a few minutes, and as he exited the residence, Kamaya heard multiple gunshots. She quickly picked up Chunk and ran into the bedroom until the gunshots stopped. She cautiously looked out the front door, only to see Tyrone lying motionless.
So I want to say this, right? This is very disturbing. This man just go get something to eat for his family, and then someone shoots him 2 times in the back of the head. Obviously, that seems very personal. When somebody gets that close up to you where they're shooting you right directly in your head, they literally want you unalived, and it's a personal type of thing to do. This is not somebody shooting in the dark, or this is not a ricochet bullet, that just so happens to hit someone or hit somebody's house. This is deliberate, right? So I want to make sure that people understand that that was a deliberate intent when you tend to shoot someone in the back of their head like that, right? You intend to make sure that that person did not survive their injuries. And I'm just going to say, me personally, if that happened right at your house or in your driveway, you tend to know how many shots, or you have an idea of how many shots you heard, right? Especially if it's that close. I can understand if you was probably 2 houses down, maybe even 4 houses down, you might get the number wrong. But if this is happening right next to your your house, because it's in your driveway, you should know how many shots you heard. You should have an easier time to give an actual number. So it's kind of concerning to me anyway. It was kind of concerning to me that the wife couldn't give an exact number of how many shots she actually heard.
Beside his truck, she immediately dialed 911. After getting Chunk out of the house and securing the scene, officers continued to speak with the family to learn more about Tyrone's background.
That's my oldest son, and I've been so proud of him. He went to college on honors. He left college and went and joined the Army.
Yeah, he's active military right now, right?
He's active military.
So.
In 2015, Tyrone joined the United States Army, where he met his wife Kamaya. From February to October of 2018, Tyrone and Kamaya were deployed to South Korea. For the 2 months leading up to the shooting, they were stationed at Fort Stewart in Georgia, but had gone home to spend the Christmas holidays with their family.
My son don't have no file, anything. He don't have a record. He told me a long time ago, Daddy, if I go to jail, somebody frame me. My son walked a straight line his entire life.
You guys know if he has any issues with anyone?
He in the army. He just came here for vacation. So he's just on leave and
Is he originally from here?
Yeah. But he's been gone for years. Somebody came from over there. They had to come because you can't even get in this house from over here.
Different theories were being tossed around as the police spoke with the family and neighbors. One theory was that this was simply a celebration gone wrong. According to reports, some residents of St. Joseph Township would ring in the new year by firing gunshots into the air. Could some of those bullets have hit Tyrone? Tyrone's father had a different opinion. He had a feeling that this was an attempted murder, and that his son's friend, Darius Carter, may have been the shooter. Apparently, Tyrone's half-brother Benny recently stole Darius's phone. So, the theory was that Darius meant to kill Benny, but mistakenly killed Tyrone instead.
So I understand why the father would say that, because you notice how the police continue to ask, did this man have any beef or altercations with everyone? His wife said no, he wasn't. She said he wasn't beefing with anyone. Apparently, they've been overseas for the past 3-4 years, and they just came here for, the holidays as a vacation to see the family. So even if he did have any beef, it was like years ago, probably in high school, because he's only 24, 23 when this incident occurred. So there was no real reasons why someone would go out of their way to, unalive him. But just think about what the father said, right? The father said it could have been this guy because this guy had a problem with a family member who took their phone. And he thinks that he accidentally thought that, that was the guy who took his phone and did that. I don't think so. I understand that's what he has to go off of, but it really doesn't make any sense, right? Because obviously the guy knows who took his phone. And he also knows that, that is not his residence and he can see him anytime. Then you have to also establish when did that whole taking of the phone situation occur, right? If it occurred a week ago, 2 weeks ago, the guy could have had, quote unquote, and I'm not saying he should, but he could have had dealt with that literally weeks before December 31st, before him and his family touched down to celebrate with their family. So I understand that the father is, he's getting clues and he's thinking that might be the situation. But like I said, if the man was found shot in the head with multiple wounds, that seems very personal and it seems very deliberate to that said individual. It does not seem like a mistake type of situation.
More than likely, Benny was probably the target. He just happened to step out at the wrong damn time. If I had to guess, that's what my theory on this whole thing is.
Another theory was that this was simply a robbery turned deadly.
This may be a robbery, dude. We need to know if he had money. We need to know if
Somebody had to be laying in wait for his ass.
This was also questionable since Tyrone's truck and the valuables inside were untouched, despite the fact that his keys were lying right next to him.
Yeah.
So that theory has to be thrown away, right? Because a robber would actually rob his vehicle. They would take whatever possession that they had on him. That's what robberies do. And most of the time, robbers don't really intend necessarily. They don't really intend to unalive someone. Someone literally deliberately shooting you in the back of your head, they wanted to end your life. So that doesn't really correlate to me as a robbery scenario, but they're trying to find out, they're trying to get clues. So this is the theory process. Hey Jen, how you doing? Good to see you.
Anything in here?
Cell phone and then a black duffel bag.
Shell casings were scattered around the crime scene, and the truck and fence were littered with bullet holes.
So whatever happened right here, huh?
There's one, two, three.
You got 2 right here.
Okay. I think I saw 5 just by the truck alone.
There's also a bullet hole in the fence to the left.
Okay. Whoever shot him was either laying in wait or walked up on him because they shot him right up next to his truck right outside the door. It was a point-blank shot, I'm sure.
Somebody knows something.
Yes, exactly. So now they're starting to put it together that this is something that's deliberate. A lot of things doesn't make sense. Even when the neighbors came by, they literally explained to the police officers that the way how the houses are set up and how, I guess, wherever the victim got hit at, that person had to be sitting in the cut waiting for him to pull up to basically sneak attack him and do that. So again, with that happening, why would a robber, just think about it, why would a robber be sitting there waiting? You traveled almost across town to get food. You're sitting there and you're waiting until exactly this come up, but you don't take anything. So we can definitely say that the robbery theory should be thrown out. This seems quite deliberate.
All of the evidence was collected and sent to the state crime lab. Tyrone was rushed to Lakeland Hospital for further treatment.
He's at the hospital right now, and Tyrone, everybody's up there. I'm going to be honest, it does not look good.
Oh, no.
Tyrone's stepmother, LaShonda, worked at the same hospital that he was being transported to. She saw him being rushed into the operating room, clinging to life. But it was too late. Moments later, Tyrone Hassel III was pronounced dead. 10 hours later, on January 1st, 2019, police had a formal interview with Tyrone's father.
I think I know who did this to my son.
He doubled down on his belief that Darius Carter had intended to kill Benny, but mistakenly killed Tyrone instead.
So you think Benny was the target?
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you, that's what we're thinking. I mean, that's, your son ain't got no beef with nobody. There ain't no reason for anybody here to be after him.
To follow up on this lead, police also interviewed Darius, but it quickly became clear that this theory was unlikely. Darius had an alibi. He was confirmed to be out of town at a New Year's Eve party on the night of the shooting. With that theory debunked, law enforcement continued their investigation by bringing a police canine to the crime scene. This canine detected a scent behind a shed in the backyard. Officers also noticed footprints, which they followed to the driveway of a vacant house for sale. The investigators deduced that whoever had shot Tyrone may have parked their getaway vehicle in this driveway. They canvassed the nearby area and eventually got a lead. An elderly couple named Walter and Fern Nost told the police that they saw an unfamiliar car parked in the vacant driveway the night of the shooting.
Hey, Walt, how are you?
Ornery as ever.
Ornery as ever?
They saw the driver get out of the car, grab something from the back seat, and soon after, they heard multiple gunshots.
Because he was here, 2 or 3 days ago, and parked there.
The same way.
When they looked...
So here's the thing, right? I know that sometimes us as, just regular adults, just regular citizens, we like our privacy, right? Whether if we have good things happening to us or bad things happening to us, right? And then we also know that sometimes we can get involved and you can put your family in danger when you want to be a good doer, right? So sometimes that some people don't, they'll like to be the bystander that, don't really, participate. But we do need some people to stand up and, and help and assist with certain things like this. Because right now, if it wasn't for this elderly couple who were willing to say, hey, what they saw or what they, perceived to be suspicious activity, because there was a person that they do not know that was in their community parked up, and they said that this person was parked up 3 days prior to that event. So that means that that person was scoping out the home, waiting for the right time to attack this individual. This is important information, right? And then you're going to see later on that more people are going to actually call the operator and give clues and tips about what might possibly going on. And one of them is going to be very, very crucial to what happened to this young man.
Looked out the window just after midnight, the car was gone. After notifying the public of the shooting, multiple tips came in from local callers. Unfortunately, each tip only led to dead ends. That was until January 11th, when the St. Joseph Police Department received an anonymous phone call. The caller claimed to have important information regarding the shooting. Apparently, while Kamaya and Tyrone were stationed in Korea, Kamaya had an affair with another man.
Why do you think this happened the way you do?
Okay. I'll help you with that. They were all in Korea, and that's where it started. He and the girl had a relationship going on, and that the guy that died had said something to him, so they had words, and then he had threatened him. You know what I mean?
And what I think I heard you understand is this relationship started in Korea, and there was a words exchanged or a confrontation between the husband, Tyrone, and the killer there.
Right. I don't know if it's there or here.
Okay.
Oh, no. The only thing is that the funeral is tomorrow. You guys should look at the wife.
The man Kamaya allegedly had an affair with was a military truck driver.
So that was very important information. Hey, Lana, how you doing? Very important information. Now, this unknown caller said that there was a beef that happened in Korea. So apparently, when they were in Korea, the missus was having an affair with another service member. And they had choices of words with each other. And it seemed whatever confrontation that they had in Korea, is circle back once they reach back down in U.S. soil, okay? And the funny thing about it is she said to look at the wife. Now, y'all remember, y'all saw the wife earlier, right? So I want y'all to pay attention. Y'all saw the wife earlier. She was sobbing. She was hysterical. She didn't know how many shots went off, right? She was trying to jump into the ambulance. And when the cops asked her, do you know who could be involved? Do you know who could have done this? What did she tell the cops? She said, he doesn't have no beef with anyone. That's what she said.
24-year-old Jeremy Cuellar, nicknamed Quay. St. Joseph authorities immediately contacted the Army Criminal Investigations Division, urging other military personnel to reach out with information regarding Tyrone's death. One of Jeremy's close friends, Jaquan Hamilton, came forward with reason to believe that Jeremy was involved in the murder. He started by giving his first impression of Jeremy.
What can you tell me about Jeremy Cuellar?
Cuellar, yeah.
Tell me about him.
Man, it was cool. Met him right before we went here.
Okay. Would y'all hang out regularly, things like that? Okay. So any relationships between any of those people in that group going on?
I mean, in Korea, I knew Quay has to mess around. Yeah, her husband called her.
Okay.
When Tyrone found out about the affair, it led to a heated confrontation between him, Jeremy, and Kamaya. Shortly after, Jeremy told Jaquan that Buddy had to go, and that he wanted to do it during the Christmas holidays. Jaquan believed that Kamaya and Jeremy planned to kill Tyrone together, and that the desire to go through with the plan was mutual. Jaquan wasn't the only one to come forward. Sergeant Tadarius Golston also spoke with investigators, claiming to have sold Jeremy a Ruger 9mm and a Glock 23 in mid-December of 2018.
He's not too savvy with guns, but he was like, hey man, do you know anybody that has a Glock 40? And I was like, do you want to buy this? And he's like, yeah, sure. Here's the firearm. He asked me, he was like, so how do you use it? Bro, you're in the Army, you don't know how to use it. And then I sold it to him via Cash App. Something under 400.
At this point in the investigation, Kamaya was staying with Tyrone's family. Later that night, Tyrone's father received a call from
So I'm proud of these service members. I'm so proud of these service members, especially since me being a service member. I'm proud that they stepped up and they actually said what was going on and they got in touch with the investigators. I'm definitely proud of Sergeant T to let them know that he actually sold this guy a firearm, because if he didn't, he could have been held accountable. I don't even know if he's going to be held accountable anyway, because, you have to have a license to be selling stuff like that, especially if you have more than one, really. So I'm glad that they stood up and it was like, hey, like, this is what we know. Yes, if he has a firearm and if you find that the bullets or whatever matches the firearm, I want you to know that I sold that was not in my possession anymore. It was the smart thing to do. But let's see, because now they're bringing in this so highly, upset wife and this poor father, this poor father.
Detective Andrew Longuski. He was told that he needed to come down to the station immediately and to bring Kamaya with him. Upon arriving, detectives instantly took Kamaya to a separate room. They then told Tyrone's father to return home because they only needed to talk to Kamaya, and it was going to be a long night. Right off the bat, Kamaya denied having any knowledge about the murder that she hadn't already shared. Detective Longuski told her that they knew about the affair with Jeremy.
He just started working you? Did it start in Korea? Is that where everything started going? Because there's no doubt about it. This whole relationship's going.
In Korea, that's where it started. Like, we weren't sexual or anything, but we were really close.
But you are now.
We're really close.
You guys were probably sexual somewhere throughout all this. You have to be to have this kind of, for him to get this hold on you, he's had to break through sexually to you, I'm guessing, first.
Not even just sexually. I just was feeling so bad, like, with Todd. Like, nothing me not wanting to be with him, but just how I was being treated. I was just feeling so bad. And it's just like he was just there, like, listening and everything. Like, he listened, like, he listened to me, and And I felt like with Todd, it was times where he wouldn't listen to me.
He suggested that Kamaya should take a polygraph test and give her side of the story before she winds up in trouble. She agreed to take the test and failed miserably on all fronts. When Detective Longuski confronted her with the results, he also lied to her, saying that they had already spoken with Jeremy and he was trying to pin the blame on her.
I believe there's a lot of things going on.
So, this is what these interrogators, they're very good at, right? They're good at reading people, and they're also good at allowing people to tell on themselves, right? So yes, he used a little manipulation on her at this point to say, hey, listen, we already got in touch with Kuehler, and if you don't tell me what's going on, he already ratted you out, so you need to save yourself. So that is a technique that they use, you know what I'm saying, where they make people believe that the other person ratted them out. And self-preservation is very strong in all people in general. So yeah, she ended up coming clean. And the one thing about it is she kind of gave herself away with the poly test too, right? So she probably thought that she was going to pass this poly test because she's acting so mundane, but no, you can still read it, and unless you really know how those poly tests work, you don't really know how to beat them, right? Most people who know how to beat poly tests are the ones who actually give them or who works with them a lot, right? So yeah, but let's hear what she has to say for herself.
I believe Jeremy's a manipulative person. You are not the one pulling the trigger. You need to get out front of this for your son because you have a future. And I'm telling you, when they come and talk to me, I want to be able to say, hey, I gave her a test. Would she be involved with something? She's sorry that this occurred. Without a doubt you are, but don't let him put you underneath the bus because that's where it's going right now. Because this isn't something you planned. This guy got into you. He got into your head. You guys are working together. He's playing you, and I don't mean it in a bad way. We all get played. We've all been in that situation because we have.
This was a major turning point in the interrogation. Kamaya opened up, providing a detailed account of the murder plot.
So, when we were in Korea, I can't really pinpoint exactly when it was. Me and I had this big argument, and then, I came back into building. I was talking to Jeremy. I'm like, man, I don't really know anymore. Like, and he was like, I can handle that. And I was like, what do you mean by that? He was like, I can handle it. Like, I get that guy, I get it girl.
According to Kamaya, they chose to carry out their plan during Christmas holidays because Jeremy would be in Chicago, about 100 miles away from St. Joseph, Michigan. They felt that this would be less suspicious than killing him while they were all together in Korea.
It was just planned in Korea. It wasn't to be done in Korea. It was just planned in Korea when we got back to the States.
Kamaya then said that she and Jeremy communicated through Snapchat. Apparently, Jeremy drove from Chicago to Michigan several times, looking for the best time to strike. In fact, he had actually driven to Michigan just days before New Year's Eve to monitor Tyrone's movements.
And then he was out there and he was watching the house the whole time. I told him that he was bringing us back something.
What surprised detectives about Kamaya's story was that she and Jeremy had started plotting Tyrone's murder only a few months after the two had met. Was this purely an act in the name of love, or was there more to their motive? Well, it turns out that if they was actively planning this man's murder while they were in Korea and made sure that this plan happened when they got on U.S. soil so they wouldn't tie it back to the altercation that happened in Korea. So I'm sorry. This wasn't just like some, oh, I'm in love with you and all that stuff like that. No, there was definitely something else involved. And I'm quite sure it has to do with the survivor benefits that she would get as still being his legal wife and him being an active service member. She wanted that $400,000. That's what she wanted. All right. She wanted that $400,000 and that new peen. That's what she wanted. And that was probably one of the reasons why she thought it was okay, right? Because just think about it. If she was to divorce him, yeah, she'll probably get spousal support. She'll get child support. They're very good on making sure
that happens, but she would have got more if he's gone, plain and simple. And then to be linked up with another service member who has benefits and stuff like that, she thought that she hit the lottery pretty much. But let's go on.
An active service member dies, the surviving spouse is entitled to an insurance payout of approximately $400,000.
Well, why would you just divorce him? Was it because he had some good money to start out for your kid? I mean, is the money part of it?
The money is part of it, yes.
Okay.
But main reason being is because I just felt like if I would have called it off, like Jeremy probably would have like been upset at the fact that I called it off, and I didn't want him like mad at me.
Okay, but you understand though, calling it off would have saved your husband's life. You could have divorced him. Was Ty a bad man?
Not bad enough for this. And honestly, that's just like my remorse. That's really how I feel.
So here's the thing, right? Because she's getting on my nerves. She's really getting on my nerves. She's making me heated. The simple fact is that he didn't deserve that. He didn't deserve that. And you could try to make the officer believe that you was afraid of Jeremy. You wasn't afraid of no Jeremy, ma'am. You wasn't afraid of Jeremy. Y'all sat up there and y'all planned it for months before y'all touched down on U.S. soil. You wasn't afraid of him. But you see the psychology of it, because now she's in survival mode. Now is I need to help get myself out of it or get lesser time. So she's trying to paint the picture that she was being forced by Jeremy to continue on with the plan. No, it was you who actually initiated the plan.
I believe you do. I don't believe you do it today. But you know, you put your needs and your wants above somebody's life.
I did.
$400,000 is not what Ty is.
It's not.
You felt it was before. Would you say that's a fair statement?
Yeah.
Would you say this is a 50-50 you guys were on this?
Yeah. Because I knew all about it, and like I said, I probably could have stopped it, but the reason.
Ma'am, you knew more than all about it. You gave Ty's location to your lover so he can track him and know when he was going to get food and when he was coming back. It was not only you knew, you set it up. You set it up. That's not, oh, I knew it was going down. You willingly gave information so they can meet, or he can meet him at the perfect time. Like, she's really getting me upset because she's trying to make it seem like, oh yeah, I knew, and I could have said something, but I didn't, and I was afraid that Jeremy was going to be mad at me. Like, all the manipulation that she is trying to do right now to save herself is astounding. And then to pretend to seem like she's remorseful, she's not remorseful at all. She's not remorseful at all. While she's actually admitting to the investigators how much she was involved in the situation. Have y'all seen any tear come down her eye? Do you see her acting distraught as when she was acting distraught at the crime scene? She doesn't have no remorse at all. She thought that $400,000 was worth her husband's life. She really do believe that. That's one evil, horrible person. And just to look at her psychology of how she's thinking and how she's even trying to save herself is pretty scary. It's pretty scary what she's doing right now.
reason that I didn't, because I felt like he would, be mad at me or...
And not love you anymore?
Yeah. Because I just felt like I wasn't getting that love at home like I wanted to.
So, as far as now, are you sad that you planned this out with him?
Yeah, that's why, even though I wasn't being 100% truthful in the beginning, that's why I kept saying that.
Would you say you weren't 100% truthful? That's a kind of a major 100%. You were
saying that
25%. Would you agree that? I mean, that's huge. I mean, I almost think with these guys,
But that's why when I kept saying that, if with what I know now, if I could, I would go back and not do it. I wouldn't even talk to Jeremy at all, knowing that everything would have gone like this.
But Jeremy was going to go and you called him back. You know what I'm saying? And I get why you called him back. I mean, knowing now, what do you think should happen to you right now?
I don't know. Because myself, I feel just as guilty as him.
To wrap up, they had Kamaya sign a handwritten document as an admission of guilt. Following this interrogation, authorities moved quickly to arrest Jeremy Cuellar at his home. He was brought to the police station for questioning, but without hesitation, Jeremy requested an attorney.
Okay, so Jeremy, I'll ask you a few questions to make sure we're clear here. I went over all your legal rights with you. Do you understand those? And at this point in time, do you wish to have a lawyer?
The interview ended there, and Jeremy shut down any further communication with police. Fortunately for the detectives, he didn't make much of an attempt to cover his tracks. During a search of Jeremy's car and home, authorities discovered an abundance of evidence. In his black Chevrolet Impala, they found a 9mm bullet in the front seat, the same type of ammunition found at the crime scene. They also discovered 3 bullets in the back pocket of the driver's seat, and a 9mm magazine on the floor behind the passenger seat. Divorce papers for Jeremy and his wife were also in the vehicle, as well as a Walmart receipt for a handheld GPS device he had purchased in the Chicago area.
Now, all this evidence that they're finding in this man's car, he was messy. He didn't clean up anything. He had divorce papers. So do you know what that means? Who was actually leading the charge of this murder? Who was the actual leader? It was the missus, okay? He was a pawn. He was Google Gaga in love, a better man and all the stuff like that. And she the one who got in his head. She's the one who got in his head, because if he was really hell bent on really trying to kill this dude because of whatever altercation they had in Korea, he would have made sure that everything was clean and tight. He would have got rid of the evidence. He wouldn't have no divorce papers of Ty and that girl in his car. You know what I'm saying? He wouldn't have any of that. He would have made sure everything was clean and really cannot be traced. He left all that evidence, the mags, bullets that match the bullets that's at the scene of the crime, all in your car. And it also shows that after what he did, the reason why he didn't clean up like that, because he has experienced severe trauma for what he did. He was pretty hysterical that he left all that evidence and he stayed in the vicinity. That doesn't seem like some, mastermind criminal who plotted everything. That doesn't seem like that at all. But with the wife, she was plotting from the beginning. She knew how to put out the waterworks. She knew how to throw out the sobbing, make it seem like she was a distraught wife trying to jump in the ambulance and everything. She was very careful to not mention how many shots she heard. Then she was very careful to say that I don't think he was beefing with anyone when the officer asked her initially. She was the mastermind. He was the puppet.
Yeah. In Jeremy's home, detectives found a Sprint mobile bag with evidence of a newly activated iPhone, temporary firearm registration paperwork, a Glock 23 semi-automatic pistol, and more 9mm ammunition. Despite all the 9mm ammo, authorities were not able to find a corresponding weapon. Jeremy's cell phone GPS data revealed that he had traveled to Michigan on 3 separate occasions leading up to Tyrone's murder, and was in the same area as Tyrone when the ambush took place. On January 12, 2019, Kamaya Hassel was arrested and charged with first-degree murder and conspiracy to commit murder. Jeremy Cuellar was charged with first-degree murder, premeditated murder, and conspiracy to commit murder. These lovebirds would have separate trials and were now facing the possibility of spending the rest of their lives in state prison.
New tonight, it's been the hardest 2 weeks of Tyrone Hassel Jr.'s life. His son, an Army sergeant, died on New Year's Eve in St. Joseph Township. Hassel Jr. laid his son to rest yesterday, but the information he's learned about how his son was killed still haunts him. He thinks his daughter-in-law is responsible. Sam Neff reports.
You know, it's kind of mixed feelings because we did get closure. Laying on the rest, but the closure we got was something totally unexpected.
Tyrone's family was devastated. Not only were they dealing with the loss of their son, but the idea of Kamaya being responsible for it was a hard pill to swallow. Her trial began on July 15, 2019. Despite the overwhelming amount of evidence stacked against Jeremy, authorities did not have substantial physical evidence against Kamaya. The prosecution's plan was to present Kamaya as the mastermind behind the plot to murder her husband, driven by love and greed. Attorney Pierangeli explained that Kamaya and Jeremy hoped to gain life insurance money and continue their relationship after Tyrone was dead.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're here today because the defendant, Kamaya Hassel, wasn't happy with her life and with her husband. And she devised a plan with her lover to have him murdered. Now, she could have divorced Sergeant Hassel, but that simply wouldn't work because a divorce wouldn't give her everything that she wanted. You'll hear all about this plan and that money was a part of it. And you're going to hear all of this out of her own mouth, in her own words, because she admitted to all of it. You will find that Army Sergeant Tyrone Hassel III was the victim of a planned killing conceived months before and carried out on New Year's Eve of 2018. The woman responsible for that killing is seated right there, the defendant.
Kamaya's defense would go on to vehemently deny the allegations against her. They suggested that Kamaya was a victim of Tyrone's domestic abuse and that she was manipulated by Jeremy to go along with the plan.
Ladies and gentlemen, now I am a little surprised to hear Mr. Pierangeli talk about Ms. Hassel as the mastermind behind this, because I think there's no question that Jeremy Cuellar is directly, no question about it, responsible for Tyrone Hassel's death. Jeremy Cuellar is a full-blown psychopath. This is Mr. Cuellar's plan. This is his idea. I hope that we can avoid another tragedy in finding the wrong person responsible.
Following the opening statements, Tyrone's father kicked things off with his testimony, giving a chilling recollection of the night his son died.
The paramedics was already there. I saw them trying to put my son on the gurney, I believe it's called, and when they lift him up, I saw my son, back of his head, explode out, and his eyes were open.
This is so hard. So hard. I feel so bad for this father. But I wanted to touch on the defense attorney, right? So at the end of the day, a defense attorney, whether they think their client is guilty or not, their job is to win the case, right? And it was their best bet to say that Jeremy was abusive to this wife, to try to give an angle as into why she took to the arms of another man, and why she felt that she couldn't get away without Tide not being alive anymore, and to also pin it on Jeremy as him being the mastermind and also manipulating her or coercing her to go through with removing Tide. At the end of the day, Jeremy doesn't have as much motive as the wife, okay? He really don't, because he was a service member just like Ty. That's why they were in Korea with each other, right? He has a SGLI insurance, where if anything happened to him, the next of kin would have gotten that. So it's not like he didn't have the same level of finances and stuff outside of what is Jeremy's rank and what is the deceased Ty's rank is. They had very similar finances. They were both on a U.S. base. They were both on deployment. So again, they was pretty even and level. So he doesn't really have any motive outside of wanting his wife to, to really harm Ty. But she has more motive. She has motive as in she would get less if it was an actual divorce, right? She would get far less. Then on top of that, she would get the man, right? And she would get the extra money, right? That big, large sum of money. So for her, it was more beneficial and more of a motive as into why she would do this, you know? But the defense attorney, that was their only way to try to actually help this woman to try to lower her sentencing, especially since she wasn't the one who actually pulled the trigger. So I just wanted to bring that up as into what you see the defense attorney was saying. Lana says if he was abusive to her, she had time to get away. She had time to start a new relationship. It may sound rude, but no, you're absolutely right. Here's the thing, right? If you're on base and you're married and they're married, they live with each other. Do they think that the MPs is not going to come to the house if they hear any form of disturbance or domestic violence? If he was abusing her, he would have been lost his job. He would have been court-martialed. She would have been sent back home. They don't play around with that on these bases, especially when you're going on deployment. They don't play around like that, right? Because they know how high domestic violent rates are when it comes down to military personnel, law enforcement, contractors, CEOs. These type of career fields have high divorce rates as well as high domestic violent rates. Okay, so they don't play around with anything like that. She did have plenty of time, and on top of that, if she was let's say for example, if he was so abusive to her, it seemed like she was quite close to his family, the father and everything. She was staying with them. She was in the father in them's house. The grandmother with them there. So you could have talked to them if you felt like you didn't want to necessarily get law enforcement involved. So there's many opportunities that she could have talked to someone. And as her being a spouse of a military person, you also have access to all the counseling and help and assistance on a base. We usually have therapy. We have therapists on base. We have psychologists on base. We have counseling on base. We have financial counseling on base. We have all these different counseling that's right there for you, for you to use free of charge. You don't pay a thing. So I'm not buying it. But let's go on.
You see where he was shot at. And I saw a hole right here, right under the ear. And the back of his head was just big.
Detective Longuski was also brought to the stand. During his cross-examination, defense attorney Kessel suggested that he coerced Kamaya to falsely confess to the murder of her husband.
You said you got to get out in front of it because Jeremy is going to throw you under the bus. Do you remember saying that?
I believe I did, yes.
You actually said that Jeremy was in custody at one point and that he was talking. Do you remember saying that?
Yes, I did.
You said Jeremy was a manipulator, correct?
I made that was a theme that I used, yes.
But it's fair to say that you're doing your own version of manipulating during this interview too. Is that right?
Well, I'm trying to make her feel comfortable and give her an option or a way to explain something that she may have been involved in, yes.
So yes is the answer to the question. You were also being a manipulator in this situation, correct?
I guess that's a fair statement, yes.
Longuski's partner, Sergeant Mike Lanier, also testified, saying that on January 2nd, 2019, just 2 days after the murder, there were multiple searches on how to delete Snapchat from Kamaya's phone.
So I wanted to point out that. So you remember what I said, that what the investigator was doing was a sense of manipulating, right? He was manipulating her to make her believe that Jeremy have already ratted her out. However, it doesn't necessarily fall in the line of coercion, because he did not tell the I forgot this girl name. It doesn't even matter. She doesn't even deserve to even be acknowledged. But this woman's name, he didn't coerce her to say that story. He didn't tell her to say anything that she said. Nothing. She started spilling the beans, and she started to try to, tell away as into how it all planned it out, who she was afraid of. Jeremy's going to get mad at me. Oh, I have remorse. She's the one who led with the story and told everything. So even with that little sense of manipulation, which will be considered a lie, that Jeremy already came clean, that's not coercion, because she didn't have to tell that story. Even if he said that Jeremy came clean, she could have been like, okay, well, I still don't know anything, and I stick by what I said earlier. She could have still led with that. They didn't have nothing to go with that. So it's not going to cut it. Even though that's a nice try from the defense attorney to try to say, oh, well, you manipulated her and trying to say that you coerced her to say all those things. We all saw the video. He didn't coerce her at all. He just told a little lie that Jeremy already told us stuff, and she let it all hang out.
Did you do a search for a Snapchat application?
Yes.
Was there any Snapchat application on her phone?
No.
Can you explain, based on People 77, to the jury exactly what you found?
Well, up here in this little top part, you can search things. You just type in whatever you want. I type in Snapchat or anything else. So Snapchat, things come up. It starts finding the word Snapchat, which included these titles here in the middle, which the very center one here says delete account, Snapchat. Then there's delete my account, Snapchat support, just a multitude of things with Snapchat.
Right. Right.
And what is the very initial search?
The first one on that screen happens to be an active duty soldier killed on New Year's Eve.
He was able to find proof of the conversations between Kamaya and Jeremy. However, since she had already successfully deleted her Snapchat account, it was impossible to see the actual messages between the two. On trial day 3, prosecutors dropped a bombshell on the defense that would shock the courtroom. On the day that Kamaya was taken into custody, she made a phone call to her mother from jail. Little did she know this conversation was being recorded.
This call is from a correction facility and is subject to monitoring and recording.
Hey, Mama.
What's going on, Kamaya?
I'm in the jail.
Why are you in jail?
Because I knew what was going on with Tyrone.
You what?
I knew what was happening. We planned it.
Kamaya, are you serious? You gotta be kidding.
I'm serious, Mama. I just knew that you would be disappointed.
Girl, you 22 years old. And these people come out and you was living a double life and you done had your husband killed, the father of your child. Kamaya, is somebody coercing you to say this stuff? Because this crap sounds like a TV show, a dream. I don't know if it's a calculated, conscious, heinous decision, an evil, demonic decision. You weren't raised like that.
A second confession. Needless to say, the prosecution hit the jackpot and used Kamaya's recorded phone call to their advantage during their closing argument.
Surely, she was not giving a false confession to her mother when she said, we planned it. Other statements she gave to her mother when her mother asked, did he just come up here and do it? Did he just come up here and kill Ty? Or did you tell him to do it? And she responded, we planned it. She never pulled that trigger.
But didn't she really? She planned with Jeremy Cuellar to do it. That's evident over and over and over again. She is just as responsible as Jeremy Cuellar. She needs to be held accountable. She assisted in this crime. She gave aid. She gave counsel. She procured it. She abetted it to encourage it. All the evidence shows that. And she conspired with him to do it. That Sergeant Hassel could be here today. If it wasn't for this defendant.
They asserted that Kamaya had the means, motive, and opportunity to commit this crime, and that their actions were premeditated and deliberate. On the other hand, the defense argued that despite Kamaya planning Tyrone's murder, she didn't think that Jeremy would actually follow through with it.
She told Detective Longuski she didn't think it would happen. Just like...
Come on now, stop playing. Stop playing, young lady. You didn't think that it was going to happen, but you gave your husband location to that man. You called and text that man through Snapchat to let them know that you sent that man to go get something to eat and this is the perfect time, but you didn't think that he was going to go through with it. This is when you know that the defense attorney knows that their case, they lost this case. Their case have been blown out the park, especially once the prosecutor was able to get the phone call that she had with her mother. She sealed her own fate. She sealed her own fate with that.
Specialist Hamilton said, I didn't think it would happen. Simply because Kamaya Hassel knew of the details does not prove that she was involved, that the statement that she made implicating herself was the result of a long stay in police custody, followed by repeated denials, followed by manipulation. Again, Detective Longuski's agreed upon word. Manipulation. It was only then that she began giving details, parroting him, as I read to you. Those are the only reasons that she made those statements, ladies and gentlemen. And without those statements, the prosecution has no case against Kamaya Hassel.
On July 18th, 2019, after a 4-day trial, the jury had come to a decision and the verdict was presented to the court.
I'm going to ask, sir, if you would please read in count 1 your verdict.
Guilty of first degree premeditated murder as aider or abettor.
Thank you. And as to count 2.
Guilty of conspiracy to commit first degree premeditated murder.
All right, thank you.
Kamaya's sentencing took place about a month later, on August 29th, 2019.
New at 11 tonight, the wife of a Fort Stewart soldier has been sentenced to life in prison without parole for his murder. 22-year-old Camille Hassel learned her punishment today in Berrien County. Last month, a jury found her guilty of the January killing of Sergeant Tyrone Hassel III. He was shot to death while visiting family in Michigan.
The following month, on September 23rd, 2019, Jeremy Cuellar pled guilty to second-degree murder and was sentenced to a minimum of 65 years in prison. He will be eligible for parole at the ripe age of 90.
Jeremy Cuellar was emotional at his sentencing today as the victim's mother addressed the court. LaShonda Jones told the court that she plays videos just to listen to her son's voice and told Cuellar he does not deserve to walk the earth. Cuellar burst into tears.
I want to apologize to the family again. Sincerely. I was a fool for just taking her words and not really looking to see who he was. It was stupid. And that's not me at all. You know, I was raised right. I just had issues with them, my own demons. I know we all do. But what she was telling me, I told her I opened up to her and she played on it. I shouldn't have, opened up to her. I was a fool for trusting her.
Following Jeremy's conviction, he requested a video call from prison with Tyrone's father. To many surprise, he accepted the invitation.
Oh, this is Mr. Hassel Jr.?
Yeah.
How you doing, sir?
I'm all right. Under the circumstances.
Honestly, I'm very sorry. I know that is not even enough, regardless of the fact I deprived Chunk of his father and his mother, you know what I'm saying? Regardless of how his mother, you know what I'm saying, period. At the end of the day, I'm the reason, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, I just couldn't take the shit, you know what I'm saying? Plus, it's like, I just want to do my time and hopefully get out, you know what I'm saying? But I don't even know if that's even possible, you know? She always, it was just negative things about Ty and y'all, you know, and that was another reason that kind of fueled me. But I didn't really want to do it. But I don't know, man. I was just blind. There's many things that she would tell me, bad things about him, and it wasn't even that bad. Now that I really look at it, you know what I'm saying? Like, she was just ungrateful. You know what I mean? Like, and I wasn't seeing that. I was trying to, like, saying, be that I don't know, man, goofy, man. Really, honestly, to be honest with you.
So y'all, thinking after all that, y'all thought that y'all can live happily ever after that.
I could tell by the way you look, man, you want me to burn in hell, sir. And I understand that. I really hope you can forgive me. You know what I'm saying? I know it's going to take forever, or you might not. But, I really hope you can.
Only thing I can say, man, I'm going to get out of here. Just, I guess for your sake, just stay in that Bible. It's the only thing going to help you. Just keep doing what you're doing.
Despite this open and honest conversation, in August of 2020, Jeremy decided to withdraw his guilty plea, claiming that his defense team's advice to plead guilty was ineffective legal counsel. But in August of 2021, the Michigan Supreme Court denied Jeremy's request for an appeal. The following year, in October of 2022, Kamaya also claimed that her attorneys were ineffective by failing to challenge the admissibility of her police statements. She also added that her attorneys failed to present evidence of abuse during her marriage, nor did they consult an expert regarding a possible self-defense claim based on battered partner syndrome. However, this request for an appeal was also denied, and Kamaya's convictions were upheld. Kamaya Hassel is currently serving her life sentence at the Women's Huron Valley Correctional Facility in Ypsilanti, Michigan. As for Jeremy, he is serving his sentence at the Bellamy Creek Correctional Facility located in Ionia, Michigan.
All right, so that was horrible. She deserved everything that she got. That was justice served. There's a real reason why they gave her life in prison and they gave the actual shooter 65 years with the possibility of parole, is because the defense attorney could not remove the fact that she had more motive than anyone to for Ty's death. Okay. And especially since she had the written documentation that she gave to the investigator stating that the money was a part of it, which she was dumb to say that, but she told the truth, right? Then she tried to lead on that she was fearful for Jeremy. They weren't buying that, right? So they could not get it out of their head that she was the mastermind of the whole plot. Even when she told the investigator, when she started to tell the truth, she said, "Oh, I said to Jeremy after me and Ty had an argument and we was arguing about something. I said to Jeremy, "Oh, I don't need him no more." And then she said that Jeremy said, "Well, I can handle it." And then she tried to play like, "Oh, what you mean? I could take care of it." You was the mastermind of everything. That's the whole reason why you said that. You didn't say, "I'm going to get a divorce." You said, "I don't need him anymore." So like I said, the simple fact that she came out and it clearly shows that she was the leader of this whole thing. She actually planned this whole thing. They can obviously see that Jeremy was love struck and he believed a lot of things that she was saying about him or the family, which he told the father. And I'm glad that justice was served at this point. She deserved life in prison without parole. She knew exactly what she was doing, and she only cared about herself. She didn't care about Ty. She didn't care about Chuck. She didn't care about even his family. Like, the audacity, how evil can you be that you sitting up in his father's house knowing that you sent out a hitman to kill his son, and you sitting up there even after all that in his house and acting like you some Karen distraught wife. Like that is pure evil. Like that's evil. You don't have a conscience. You don't have a conscience at all. You know, you're only mad because you thought that you was going to uh get a lighter sentence because you're a woman, and you also and you try to use the trope as you being coerced by man, like you was being manhandled. That's what she was trying to use. She was trying to use the manhandle trope that, oh, I was just being controlled by all these men and it wasn't me and I was fearful of my life. Not once was you fearful for your life. And unfortunately, the judge and everybody saw through it. You tried to appeal, it didn't work. I think that the reason, like kudos for the dad, because that takes a lot of strength to sit up there and have a phone call with your son's killer. You know what I'm saying? To sit face and face in front of your son's killer and literally try to be cordial and tell him, listen, you're going to have to just see God, you're going to have to get whatever's coming for you with God, but, just stay in that book and hold on to your religion or whatever not, that takes a lot of guts, like, do you understand the amount of pain that man has to be enduring to look at his child's killer in the face and have the audacity to want to speak to me and then apologize and say sorry and can you forgive me? Like, I mean, that man, that father was acting like a saint at this point. He was a full-blown saint at this point, because I don't know, that could not be me, right? That could not be me. But it's very telling that even though Jeremy said that he deserved everything and all the stuff like that, that months later he decided that he wanted to appeal and that he felt that he was being coerced or his lawyers didn't do their job. But I think that he was going to do that anyway because, like, prison is not easy, right? Prison is not easy. And a lot of people think they tough until they get into prison, right? And what we realize that a lot of these people who go into prison, a lot of them, the only reason why they came out is because they let a lot of shit that they don't talk about happen while they're in prison, right? So I think that's the reason why he appealed. He appealed because he realized that he ain't that tough and he ain't built for this. And he was like, I need to get the hell up out of here. So that's really unfortunate. But this was a very sad situation, you know what I'm saying? And rest in peace to that sergeant. And he lost his life for nonsense. He lost his life for bullshit, just for being greedy, just for being spiteful, and I really do feel for his family, to have, to raise a boy to be so straight and narrow, college educated, wanted to serve his country, doesn't have no, criminal activity, no criminal history, nothing, really a straight and narrow dude, and very important to our country, very important to our society, really. And look how he lost his life. Look how he lost his life. It's very sad. It's very, very sad. All right, so I have another one for you, and then I'm gonna let you good folks go. So this one was very interesting too. So I'm gonna pull this one up. It has to do with a woman who lost her life, and apparently this woman was well known on TikTok, and everybody knew about her relationship or marriage, and apparently she is no longer with us. So we're going to tune into this. I haven't really studied this yet, so we're gonna do it together. So here we go.
23, mother of two and positivity coach April Holt had a following of over 200,000 on TikTok. April built her quirky and optimistic online image around her happy home life. Her post told the story of overcoming adversity and manifesting great things.
But yeah, keep growing, y'all. Keep manifesting and have a great day on purpose.
In late July, April was found unresponsive in the bathroom of her home. she would die days later. While law enforcement was content to categorize the case as a tragedy of April's own choosing, the 29-year-old's mother knew better. This is the story of a mother's unflinching fight for justice. Hi there, I'm Kevin, and welcome to Just Thought Lounge. Today's case takes us to the outskirts of Nashville, Tennessee, where a young mother, entrepreneur, and influencer met a questionable end. Let's take a look.
Hey, Ariel.
April Holt celebrated her 29th birthday in early July 2023. The young entrepreneur from Antioch had already accomplished quite a bit in life. An independent lash technician, April had left her job and launched out on her own, building her own business and being her own boss.
Happy 29th birthday to me. I am blessed to experience another year of life. I have lived through 10,585 days.
As April reflected on her greatest achievements, she was most grateful for family, particularly her two children, 11-year-old Serenity and her 7-year-old son, Denzel. April was an engaged, loving mother. She shared the best of her family life with the world through her TikTok account. She focused on positivity videos, presenting a spiritual life and coaching her over 200,000 followers on the value of manifesting the life you want. Her videos were at times motivating.
I just pray and send good energy to anybody who's seeing this. I hope you have an amazing day on purpose. Be intentional and grow just a little bit. Progress over perfection.
Sometimes they were goofy.
You give my life color, give my life color. You give my life color.
Over the years, a few of April's posts also became deeply honest and revealing. April's homeschooling as a child was a particularly sore point. She posted about what she described as her isolation from society. This was an experience she learned from and overcame in her teenage years. April and her husband, 33-year-old Donovan Holt, lived the ups and downs of their marriage online. They shared their origin story, friends that became best friends, that became lovers, and eventually husband and wife, and parents to daughter Serenity, whom April had when she was a teen, and their son, Denzel.
Oh, no, that's the question. It's
I'm
rolling.
supposed to answer right now.
Yeah.
Being best friends. That came first. If we aren't friends.
You're so out of breath.
This is so sad. Oh, thank you so much, Ariel. I appreciate you. Yes, please go ahead and get some rest, sis. But thank you so much for tapping in. And I appreciate the super chat. Appreciate you. Have a good night, dear. She was 29 years old. So I think this happened when she was 29 or 30, Miss Jalen. But this seems so sad because she seems so bubbly and full of life, and she has a goofy side of her. She's always smiling. It seemed that she had a large following by just being very positive, not that materialistic type of positive. She's being positive, like, hey, put a smile on your face. Who loves you? I love you. God loves you. That type of positive motivation. And it seemed this is already, turning out to be very sad that this lady is not with us anymore. But let's go on.
I am my brother. But honestly, if we weren't friends first, it wouldn't have lasted. Like, that's been the base of the whole relationship, the foundation was that we were friends. And so even through the bullshit, we can joke around and maintain that friendship. I mean, it's what kept us through our separation, honestly. So
Yeah.
being friends is important.
He really is like my bestest friend ever.
The bestest.
The best friend I could ever ask for. And I married him.
There were rough patches, including the period of separation that Donovan mentions. The couple had also faced financial hardship, bouts of depression, and serious health issues. Always positive, April framed their story as a journey of the pair overcoming adversity. The story that she told always ended with love and success. Not all of us are comfortable with sharing our personal struggles online for the world to see. Indeed, there are many reasons to be concerned for online privacy and the amount of personal information that is floating around the internet.
Further.
That is why I'm pleased to introduce to you the sponsor of the video, Hogo. Hogo is a privacy and money management app that is on the morning of Friday, July 28th. April spoke with her mother, Jamie, on the phone briefly. They had plans to see the Barbie movie, but she couldn't make it that afternoon. They agreed to meet at their church the following day. It was just a few hours later that Jamie received a phone call, one that she would never forget. Donovan was on the other end. April had been rushed to the hospital, he said. Their young son had found her in the bathroom. She was in the shower, a plastic bag taped over her head. April wasn't breathing.
Oh, hi, Cynthia Burton. Thank you for coming to the channel. So apparently, this is just the beginning, so you didn't really miss anything. Apparently, this woman was found unconscious in her bathroom, and they was going to originally say that they thought that this was self-imposed, like maybe drugs or something like that. But her mother didn't believe it. And her mother continued to investigate, and we're going to get more details on actually what happened to her.
We were going to go see the Barbie movie. She said, Donovan has to work. I can't go to the movie, but I'll meet you at church in Blast. This is the Blast classroom. Tomorrow, the phone rang, and it was Donovan, and he said he was upset, kind of like in a panic upset. He's like, we found April. She wasn't breathing, and so she's in the ambulance on the way to the hospital.
At the hospital, Jamie recalled Donovan continued to act strangely. He was not expressing the kind of distress and confusion one would expect from a distraught husband, she thought. He allowed her to make all of the medical decisions regarding April's treatment as they fought to save her. Jamie recalled that Donovan held his head in his hands and he rocked back and forth. After 3 days of further emotional agony, on July 31st, April had still not regained consciousness. She was declared dead from her injuries. In November, the autopsy report was released. The results were not what Jamie had expected. The medical examiner concluded that the cause of death was suffocation. The conclusion reached by the Metro Nashville police was that there had been no foul play.
So I'm wondering, how does she suffocate, right? Because suffocation can mean many things, right? They're saying that it was no foul play. So meaning is they did the initial observation of her body, and they didn't see any forced trauma to her neck, like that would give you the impression that she was being strangled, right? But when you're suffocated, you can suffocate for many things, right? You can suffocate if you have too much water in your mouth, you have something put down your throat. Like I'm trying to figure out what else happened. You know what I'm saying? Since they trying to say that, there was no foul play. Yes, she was, Lana. She seemed like a very beautiful soul, and it's really unfortunate that she is no longer with us, right? Because I don't know her personally. I'm not saying I know that she was a good person, a bad person, but so from what I'm seeing or hearing about her, she seemed like, she should still be here, really.
Let's talk about how I'm going to fake it till I make it while I put on lash extensions, because I had a mental breakdown the other night and I plucked all of my lashes off. I think I can add a video, maybe not. If not, then I'm just pointing for no reason. But yeah, let's get into it. So lately, I have been going through just a lot, and I can definitely say that I'm in like a depressed state. Like I'm just overwhelmed, and I know that like I'm manifesting more negative experiences on myself with how I've been. So I have to get out of this funk. So I'm going to literally fake it till I make it. And I've done this before. This isn't the first time.
Investigators informed Jamie Dickerson that her daughter's case would be closed. There was nothing further to investigate. Jamie rejected the decision outright. She told investigators that she would continue and walked out on them.
After they closed April's case, DA and everybody agreed to close it. I got up, marched out of that room, and I said, I'm not done. I'm going to keep investigating.
Jamie knew her daughter well. She knew that both faith and resilience were qualities that April...
Absolutely. And I'm glad that her mother continued to fight for her, because we wouldn't really know what happened to this young woman. Like, she was supposed to meet up with her mother to go to the movies, to go see Barbie, and she couldn't go to the movies because the said husband wasn't home, so he couldn't, or quote unquote wasn't home, so she couldn't leave the children, with the husband. And then on top of that, they go to church. So she was actively going to church with her mother, so she seemed like she was a woman that was fairly religious bound, right? She believed in manifestation. She believed in spreading good energy and receiving it. It's even when she just admitted on one of her lives that she was in a slump, but she knew that I have to get myself out this slump because I'm going to continue to have bad energy come and attack me if I don't release it and move on, right? So she knew her self-coping mechanism. She had strong self-coping mechanism, and that was part of the reason why she had a high following on TikTok, because of her self-help things and manifestations that she would say to her viewers, right? So this doesn't seem like a woman who would be like, who would kick the bucket so easily, because it's not like she haven't gone down roads of dealing with being depressed, being, feeling not like herself. She been through this, and she knows what she needs to do to get out of it. So I'm really, really happy that her mother said, absolutely not. We're not just going to just chuck this up as another woman or a young woman who unalive themselves or offer stress of daily stresses of life. I'm glad that she did that, so we can actually really find out what happened, right? Let's see. Cynthia says, seems like to me they didn't really care. Yeah, they really didn't. They took, what's happened sometimes is that they take the easy route, right, Cynthia? Sometimes these investigators and law enforcement, if they see something that would make an easy route to say, hey, this is what happened, okay, this makes sense, okay, done deal, case closed, right? Unfortunately, it do takes parents, it do take loved ones or actual private investigators to dig deeper and to keep things open. It's unfortunate, really, but because all that takes money and stuff like that. So if it's easy to just say, hey, this case is closed because this seems like the most reasonable reason that this happened, they will go that route, right? Because it does take money to have investigators and stuff like that when you're dealing with cold cases.
April had in abundance. Jamie also believed that there was no way that April would have chosen to leave her children. Someone had taken her life, and Jamie believed that she knew exactly who that person was. 2 weeks prior to her death, April had filed for divorce. This was not the first time. The marriage had been a rocky one. Indeed, the couple had originally sought a divorce years earlier, leading to a 3-year separation.
Okay, so the story is that we are getting divorced because of our decision. It's my best friend. I still love her to death. Like, we still got a child together. We still gonna be hanging out. I'm probably
All
gonna
the
see
time.
her most days of the week, but at the end of the day, we got shit to do. That's it. You feel me? She has a path to go. I got a path to go, but our paths pay her live. And we always gonna be next to each other.
Yeah.
And who's to say what's gonna happen in the future? All that we know is right now. Right now, it's the best. I mean, real talk, it's the best decision for both of us. For her to do what she needs to do, for me to do what I need to do. So
we can grow and heal and
that's it.
elevate. No hard feelings. This is not a messy divorce or anything like that. We don't do that. This is like I said. Like he said, this is my best friend at the end of the day. He has been before the relationship, before the marriage, before the kid. So nothing's gonna change that. So
like, look at her, bro. Like I would never lose this forever. For real. And look.
So we're good, y'all. We're
for
good.
real though, like for real, for real.
Promise y'all.
April and Donovan separated, but never formally cut ties. They continued to present a happy front to their followers, and perhaps some of this was genuine, or perhaps they were in a deeply unhealthy cycle, because after an extended separation, the two decided to rekindle their romance and give it another go. In their videos, they prided themselves on their ability to forgive, to embrace open lines of communication, and to grow as individuals while together.
So, I talk about how it is in social media these days, right? Hey Zero, how you doing? Corner Boy Gang Gang. Thank you for stopping by. I talk about how social media is, right? We see extremes on both sides that's happening on social media. We have the extreme of trying to act picture perfect and everything's okay. And then we have the other side of the extreme is letting it all hang out. Don't have a care world. Oh, I'm telling everything. I'm letting everybody know whatever's going on, right? You let everybody know what you even ate today, okay? And what came out in your toilet. You let everything out, right? So that's what's really happening on social media. We're getting two extremes. And a part of her brand is, like I said, is positive, is is motivation, is manifesting, is determination, seeking your goal, staying positive, keeping negative energy away from you. You attract what you accept, etc. She probably felt that it could have hurt her brand if she would have went the other side, the polar side that we see when relationships go sour, when they're no longer working, stuff like that. So I think they did try to utilize what was happening to them, like, hey, we might need to separate, but we're still family. We still have love for each other, stuff like that, which I do. I'm not going to front and I'm not going to hold her against it. I think that that's healthy, right? People do need to see those type of examples that not every relationship or marriage that it ends so toxic, negative, where you hate each other's souls, that you're really out to trying to hurt each other. That's not everybody's situation when a relationship ends. But the only problem is if your relationship is in danger, like what I would say, if you're in danger because of your relationship and you're putting on this front because you want to keep up with the Joneses, as everybody thinking that this is some very lovable marriage, this lovable couple, they love each other, their family and all that stuff like that, you could kind of put yourself in danger and more than actually being honest, or taking the time out for not focusing so much of what you think your fans or your subscribers think they need to see from you, and actually doing what you need to do for yourself. So like you see this, they let everybody know that they were breaking up. They let everybody know that they was having a divorce, and it was not one time or two times. This happened 3 times. So it was quite funny to me, or not funny, but it was quite shocking to me why the mother was like, no, she actually really did file for a divorce this time, because remember, they were separated. So it was okay to be separated and still legally married. And then he also had they had the ability to still rekindle their marriage. So they was only dealing with separation, but this time she actually filed for divorce. This wasn't no separation. So that's a very key information at there, that this time this wasn't a separation, this was a divorce. So let's listen to a little bit more. I understand that, Lana. Sometimes it doesn't.
The darkest moments of their relationship seemed never to reach April's TikTok account, but the arguments must have escalated. Unlike previous occasions when she sought to separate in July 2023, April was not backing down. She told her mother that she was holding firm and leaving Donovan for good. Donovan must have been just as certain. Jamie learned later that he had pawned his wedding ring just a week before April died.
Is it me? Am I the drama? I don't think I'm the drama. Maybe I am. Am I the villain? I don't think I'm the villain.
So he pawned his wedding ring a week before she died. So that means that he was well aware about the divorce. That means that he was well aware about the divorce papers. So now I'm starting to get serious motive, right? Is there something that would have happened if that divorce actually went through? Would he have to pay child support, spousal support, or, since she was a boss of her own and a successful TikToker, did he, I don't know, because I'm starting to believe that it was the husband. So that's just my opinion. I don't know. I'm watching this with you guys to find out if it's true, but I'm starting to believe it was the husband, and I'm starting to put things together. And in my mind, in my opinion, I think that he took the route of, unaliving her, because he would have lost money if they would have got divorced, and he probably would have got her channel and everything that she owned as being a boss if she would have passed away, because guess what, y'all still legally married, right? And he's the next of kin. So that just literally makes sense.
On July 28th, the day that April was found unconscious in her shower, she and Donovan had been having an argument.
Yes,
the details of their disagreement remain unclear. That morning, Denzel heard his parents fighting, but he could not distinguish the words that were being exchanged. He later recounted to his grandmother what he recalled from that horrible day.
On July 28th, she woke up, drank her coffee, journaled as usual, enjoying her peaceful morning, hugged and kissed her 7-year-old son, Denzel, and her husband then went into the bathroom and began to argue and fight. My 7-year-old grandson put his ear to the door and heard his parents fighting, and he looked underneath to see both of their feet. He then listened some more, but he couldn't understand what they were saying, and so he then ran to his room. His dad shortly after came into his room, and he got him dressed and he fed him. And he then had him go check on his mom. He asked him to go check on his mom. 911 was then called. We got to the hospital, and she had no brain function and no blood flow to her brain. We did not find out about the bag, which was not disclosed to us, for over 6 hours. In that time, her husband had went back to the apartment 2 times, not knowing I don't know what he was doing there. On July 31st of 2023, my daughter was pronounced dead, and I want justice.
What followed was a fight that Jamie would need to wage to apply public pressure to get the attention of the Nashville police, as well as the DA's office. She began with seeking exposure. Jamie sought out local news stations, she reached out to area celebrities, and she posted about the case regularly on her social media. It was an uphill battle. After the investigation had been officially closed, it became difficult, if not impossible, to gain any traction in the media. Coverage of April's case on the mainstream outlets at that time completely ceased.
So guys, I wanted to let you guys know something, which I don't understand if I'm doing something wrong or how I reach out, but there has not been one news channel in the local Nashville area that has picked up April Holt's story, my daughter. Not one, from day one, and it's been 14 months. And I've reached out to Channel 2, Channel 4, Channel 7, Channel 5, any channel out there, including I've reached out to many of the celebrities that are out here. Not one will even respond or take anything on, including I've reached out.
Jamie did not only campaign online. She requested the full case file and began researching. By lodging a formal complaint with the Community Review Board in Nashville, Jamie forced a full review of the handling of April's case. Eventually, the Metro Nashville Police Department launched a second investigation. 4 months later, they returned with a 47-page report. The reinvestigation did not prompt a change in the categorization of the case or the nature of April's death, however. What it did provide was a wealth of detail for Jamie to scrutinize. She combed through the report and related documentation over many hours. The days turned into weeks and months while Jamie worked through what was available and tried to make sense of the evidence she had to work with. Meanwhile, the grieving mother also aimed to provide a stable and supportive home life for her grandchildren. She posted about taking Serenity and Denzel to grief counseling. She shared how their nightmares kept her and her husband up at all hours. Jamie also spoke openly about her own grief, even publishing a book about her bereavement process entitled Grieving Through Grace.
And the proceeds that come from this book will also be publishing a children's book called Grieve With Me. And that will be the next one that will be in the series. And then Grieving Through Grace, the next chapter, is the one that will follow this book.
She also became an advocate against domestic violence. Many of her insights highlighted the complex dynamic at work in many relationships. Abuse does not always look the same or the way we expect it to. During this period, there was also the struggle to keep the children together. In the months following his wife's death, Donovan Holt relocated to Texas. Not surprisingly, he wished for his son to join him there.
Serenity didn't come with on that trip to go drop him off with his dad. She said she just couldn't do it. He was crying too. He didn't want to go. He was crying and saying he said, "Grammy, I'll do anything I can to try to stay with you."
So to me, I think that son knows something. And I think it's quite odd that, you were seen with pictures with the grandma and everything. So it seemed like y'all was close, y'all was communicating with each other. Why now you want to uproot you and your son and make sure he's away from his mother's family? Like, why would you do that now? How long have you been living in Nashville that now all of a sudden you want to up and move to Texas, just completely cut connection from the son away from the mother's family? That's very strange, behavior, because this is the time when family supposed to come together. Doesn't matter if it's even within marriage. This is the time where family is supposed to lean on each other, and the more help the merrier, especially since this young boy lost his mom. And remember, she had a daughter from a previous relationship. That daughter lost her mom. So why wouldn't you keep the siblings together? They grew up with each other. You practically raised her daughter. But now all of a sudden you just uprooting and you just want your child, your seed? Mm-mm.
I don't influence him in any way with his emotion. He's often told that I do, and I'm on that other side, but I would never do that. I want him to have an opinion of his own, and I want him to be happy, no matter where that is, I just want him.
No, they don't have two children together. He was the stepdad to her oldest daughter. they had a son together, and he only wants his son. That just sounds very weird to me.
To be happy and have a fulfilling childhood. And I want him to be with his sister.
Jamie's relationship with her former son-in-law was growing tense. In April of 2024, Jamie ceased her posts detailing her concerns over April's case, announcing that she had been placed under a gag order. While her online advocacy took a necessary pause, Jamie's dedication to seeking justice for April nonetheless moved forward with full force. Initially, investigators had claimed that April showed no signs of trauma stemming from the incident that had caused her death. According to Jamie, there were visible signs on April at the hospital that suggested this was not true. April had noticeable bruises. The autopsy recorded marks on her neck, her thighs, and her ankles. She even had a gash on her inner thigh. The most significant piece of evidence in this report, which was overlooked by the initial investigation, could not be ignored. There was only one set of fingerprints on the bag.
So, Miss Jalen asks, why did they gag order her? Because the initial investigators didn't do their job. They withheld information. They withheld what the actual medical examiner, once they examined the deceased body, what was actually going on. They said that she had marks on her neck. They said that she had bruises on her. So I'm wondering why they didn't just give that information the first time that they did the investigation. Why did they hurry up and try to close the case in reference to this young lady? Now they put a gag order on the mom for 8 years because now it shows that it was mishandling. It shows that information was redacted and not given, and that the initial investigation was not properly done. And she's fighting to open the case. That means that the people who had signed off saying that she had no bruises, saying that it was self-inflicted and all that stuff, they would be in big trouble. Those investigators. And also probably the initial medical examiner, right? Because you have to have his signature to say, yeah, she has no marks. We don't see no we this is all self-inflicted. We don't see no bruises, but now you're getting all this other paperwork telling you, no, they marked that she came in with bruises and bruises on her neck. And then I guess now they're about to say that the bag that they found had only one fingerprint on it, and guess who fingerprint it was? Let's find out.
Taped to April's head, and there was only one set of fingerprints on that duct tape. Those fingerprints were not April's. They were a match to Donovan Holt. In September, Jamie confronted her former son-in-law directly with the information that she had uncovered. During this conversation, Donovan confessed.
And I said, you can tell me the truth, or I'm going to go meet with the cold case team next Thursday and have this reopened. I'm not shocked. I don't have that emotion because I've been literally doing this for a year, knowing what happened. I already knew.
Jamie went to the police with the confession, which she had recorded. In light of this development, April's autopsy was reviewed, and its conclusion finally changed. The manner of death was formally recategorized to a homicide. On September 20th, 2024, the MNPD announced that Donovan Holt had been arrested in San Antonio after he confessed to killing his wife directly to detectives. Donovan was indicted by a grand jury for reckless homicide, evidence tampering, and false reporting.
I also want to update you that there has been an arrest. The detective called me and did tell me that Donovan Holt has been arrested in the state of Texas for the homicide of April Holt. He is being transported back to Tennessee. And so that is the update for now. We do have him in handcuffs, and he
is being transported back. So now we're just waiting for the next steps.
Donovan was transported from Texas to Tennessee and held on a $75,000 bond pending an arraignment hearing, scheduled for October 23rd. After speaking with the Nashville Cold Case Unit, any ambiguity that remained in the case was resolved. The 33-year-old told police the same version of events that he had conceded to his former mother-in-law. He had angrily strangled his wife in the heat of an argument. To conceal the crime, he had dragged her into the shower, positioned the bag over her head, and taped it in place. Then, he left her to make lunch for their son. Only after Denzel had eaten, he asked him to check on his mother and proceeded to call the ambulance. April's children are with their grandmother, who has reported that they are doing as well as one could expect under the circumstances. Some days are better than others. Jamie has thanked her supporters on social media for supporting her and the family through this horrific ordeal. Her fight, it seems, is not quite over. Jamie is currently campaigning to have the murder charge against Donovan increased from reckless homicide to first-degree murder.
I am trying to get the charges increased. There's no reason that they are as low as they are. There's no reason that they shouldn't be first degree instead of reckless homicide. There should also be child endangerment added to these charges. And so that's my next uphill battle that I'm trying to fight. I should have a new DA, which will be my third one now, sometime next week, that will be assigned to this case. And so I will just be on them and making sure that I can do everything that I can to get these charges increased.
That was the tragic story of April Lynn Holt. Thank you once again for joining me, and a special thanks to Alicia Rockland and Nawman for joining the Members Lounge. I'm Kevin.
Yeah, he's diabolical. Like, I'm so glad that the mother still fought. So, like, just think about what this man did. And I'm glad that she's fighting for his charges to be increased, because it definitely should be first degree murder. That was complete intent to me. I don't think that it was just reckless homicide, because you staged it to make it seem like she did it to herself. And then you sent your own son in there so he can see his mother in the state that she harmed herself. Like, that is insidious in nature. Insidious in nature. You went in that bathroom, you argued with her, you literally went out. No matter of fact, before you even left the bathroom, you strangled this woman, and then you strategically placed her in the bathtub. You put a bag over her head and taped it. Went and made lunch for your son, and then after he finished eating, told your son to go and check on his mother, to see his mother in that terrible state. That, to me, that's not I was just in a fit of rage. You literally did everything in your powers to get away with it. So to me, I'm going to take it as all of this was intentional. Really, all of it was intentional. And I think, yes, child endangerment, absolutely, the type of trauma that you gave your son, seeing his mother like that, and then you have the audacity to try to move down to Texas and say, I want my son. After, like, you don't care about your son. You don't care about the trauma that you put on your son or her older daughter. Like, that's just terrible, man. Terrible. Like, it's just like I'm just so upset and disappointed, and I'm heartbroken that this beautiful young lady lost her life. And this recently just happened. This was about 2 months ago. Well, I guess 2 months for when they actually wanted to do the story. But as you said, she was fighting for a year. So this probably happened from last year until now. And I'm just glad that this story is actually finally coming out. And her subscribers, her TikTok fans and stuff like that finally know what happened to this woman. And just prayers to the family, prayers to the mother. And I'll hate to say thank you for fighting for your daughter, but truly, like, thank you for fighting and not just taking it lying down, not them just trying to sweep your daughter under the bus. Like, her life and fighting for her doesn't matter. Thank you for doing that, right? And it's hard because that's not even talking about the turmoil and the trauma that she's experiencing as a mom, and then now having to re-raise children, her grandchildren, because the mother's not here, and unfortunately the father is a psychopath who ended up unaliving his own wife because he didn't want her to leave him. He didn't want her to get a divorce. He thought that the separation thing was all good, right? Separate for a year, 2 years or so. I go deal with whoever I deal with. We rekindle it and we try to work on it again. He liked that dynamic. He didn't like the fact that he was no longer going to be associated with her anymore. And it's unfortunate. And I prayers to those kids, really. Prayers to those kids. Let's see. Zero said, if he was going to leave, he should have just left the country, but luckily he was stupid. Yeah, absolutely. Luckily he was that dumb. He thought that he was more strategic and he was going to get away with it. And it's unfortunate that he had help from the system that was actually supposed to put, one, two, and two together and really document the things correctly, and not just try to just brush this case under the rug. So I like, that's quite disturbing because it makes me believe how many cases go like that, right? How many cases go hot, that are hot cases, or how many of these cold cases went cold due to the simple fact that people didn't do their due diligence and they get paid to do it. And because money runs out or whatever it is, or some new case that is going viral, a hot case, whatever, not dealing with, someone who's more important or deemed more important, that gets thrown as priority than just regular human beings, regular citizens who's trying to live their life and stuff like that, and having horrible things happen to them. So that's disturbing. But those are the only 2 cases that I have for you today. I hope you like this. This is the new series that I'm going with. I'm speaking on crime and psychology. So this was episode 1. We're going to tie crime and psychology into it. Y'all know I talk about narcissism. I talk about psychology a lot, the mindset, sociopath, the difference with psychopathy and Machiavellianism. And a lot of that has to do in some of these cases that is outside of just someone just being highly enraged at the moment. So thank you so much for rocking out with me this long. I hope y'all enjoy the rest of your night. Please hit the like button, comment, and subscribe. If you have something that you would like me to review, just put it in the comment section and I will review it, and we'll go over it at another time. And as always, stay safe, everyone, and love and take care of your family. And I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.